So let us continue with our ER diagram. The only thing that we have missed here is the relationship between customer and order mode. So we know that the customer ID here and the CID here, as we talked about before, ought to have to be related to each other. So what we're going to do is to form this relationship between these two. And I'm going to have, okay. And this is going to be again one to many. This is also one to many. Okay. So this is our ER diagram. So the first thing to do is to look at the tables, make sure that you understand the tables, and using that understanding, you come out with the ER diagram. Okay. That is the second part. Now let's go and work on access. So I'm going to close this and have access. Whatever we did in the ER diagram, we are going to take that and put it into Microsoft Access to form the relationships. Okay, so what we did in this PowerPoint, as we showed you, this is the logical portion of the database. And now we are going to go to the physical portion of the database. That's where we're going to enter everything that we need to do. And then we'll do the queries and all that stuff. So the first thing is I want to go to database tables and then click on relationships. And I can make this big if you want to, but I'm going to work with whatever I have. I'm going to bring all these five tables here. So double click, and you can see the table. Single click, you can bring it here. You can just drag and drop it. So I'm going to drag and drop it. Okay, I have this now. Now I'm going to take this customer ID because this is where the primary key that I'm using. So I'm going to take this customer ID and then I'm going to, before I do that, let me switch this so it'll be easy for you guys to see. So it'll be easy. So I'm going to use the customer ID and bring it to this customer ID. And that pops up edit relationships. So I'm going to enforce integrity of the data. I'm going to cascade up updated data. I'm going to cascade deleted data. And this shows me that the relationship is one to many, and that's what I want, right? Now, referential integrity is how you take this data. So usually in Access, you don't go to the data and change data like you do in Excel. You don't touch the data. So you need to form some kind of a query to get the data or to change the data, okay, or delete the data. So that is the idea. So if you want to change anything, you're going to use cascading. And if you want to delete something, you're going to use cascading. And cascading basically is this. So for instance, I have customer ID 001. And I have in the orders, I have customer ID 001. Okay. And I have for the 001, I have some quantity ordered and all that. If I remove this customer 001, then I don't want to have all these numbers, quantity ordered and all that stuff, because it's useless to me now. Then it has to be deleted as well. So when you put this cascade, if you delete the 001, it will automatically delete any data that is related to 001. Same thing. If I change the data, the shipping address, for instance, of customer ID, if I change it from Texas to Chicago, from Houston to Chicago, let's say, then in that case, what happens is all the shipping that needs to be done from now onwards will be done to the Chicago address, not to the Houston address. So that is the update fields. So that is how this whole edit relationships work. So so now we know what all this is. You want to make sure that you check all these boxes, make sure that it is one-to-many, and then you click on create. And now I have created a one-to-many. Now I'm going to do the same thing for order ID. I'm going to take this and drop it here. So I'm going to enforce and cascade, and this is one-to-many. That's exactly what I need. I'm going to create that. Now I'm going to do the same thing for product ID. So product ID, you remember we started from here. So I'm going to take this, click on this, drag it and drop it over here. And now I'm going to do all the integrity and the cascading. And again, it is one-to-many. So I'm going to create. The reason it shows one-to-many is that Access is smart enough to detect that from the data that there are lots of data for each row. So for one row of product ID, there are multiple quantity ordered. It knows that. So that's the reason it is saying one-to-many. So similarly, I'm going to use the customer ID here and customer ID there to form the relationships. And I'm going to cascade and enforce it. Again, it is one-to-many and create. So again, one-to-many is this customer ID 001. Let's say uses Visa today. Customer ID, same customer ID, uses check tomorrow. The same customer ID uses a MasterCard the day after. So basically, one row of customer ID might have multiple rows of order modes. So that's the reason it is one-to-many. So now we have formed all the relationships. So simply click the X here to close it, and then it will ask you whether you want to save changes. You click yes. Done. Okay, so this is how you form the relationship. Anytime you go back to external data, the database tools, and click on relationships, you're going to see this. Okay, now let's do the queries. So if you go to the question paper, you have various queries that you need to do. So the first query is, who are the customers who live in Michigan? So I'm going to do that first. So to do a query, or to create a query, I'm going to click on create, and then I'm going to click on query design, and then I need to bring the tables. So what am I looking for? I'm looking for customers who live in Michigan. So from my ER diagram, I know customer will have the last name, first name that describes the customer, and then also there is a state here. So I know I need to get the last name, first name, and state, and that is only from this customer table. I don't need any other table for this. So I'm going to use only the customer table. Okay, so I need to understand which table I'm going to use and what fields I'm going to use in that to do the query. So now I know I need only customer, so I'm going to click on this customer, drag it and drop it here. And I need the last name, first name, and state. So for that, the last name, I'm going to double click and it comes here. First name, double click, and state, double click. So now I have this. If I run this, it is going to show me all the records that I have, all in the customer. Customer table has got 30. Now there is a small problem here, but this is because I created it. I put MI here. I did not put a name here. That's why this extra one is there. Okay, and the reason Thomas Willem is not showing the state is simply because Thomas William is from United Kingdom, from London, so which doesn't have a state as such, which I did not type the state or a territory or a county or anything like that. I did not do that. Okay, so now I know once I click on this, I get all the data. Now the question is, I want which one of these guys are from Michigan. So quite a number of them are from Michigan. For instance, James Wagner is from Michigan. Mitch Morey is from Michigan. So I need those Michigan only. So to find out the customers from Michigan only, I got to use what is called a criteria. So if I go to the right of criteria and under the state, if on this, I'm going to type Michigan. Now, Michigan from the data is denoted as MI, the abbreviation, rather than typing MICHIGAN. So I'm going to type MI, but then it is a text. Whenever I type in a text for the criteria, I'm going to use a quote first and then MI and then follow up with another quote. Okay, quote, MI, quote. Now if I run it, I see only Michigan people. And this is exactly my answer. So I'm going to get out of this. See, look at what I'm doing here. So I'm not saving anything here right now. So I'm going to get out here. Now it is asking me, do you want to save changes? I say yes. And I'm going to type answer 1 for problem 1. And I'm click OK. And I see that answer here. So I'm done with 1. So now let's do the second one. Who are the customers who live in Michigan and Indiana? So I'm going to create query design like we did before. Again, I need only the customer table simply because the customers' names are there as well as the states are there. So I'm just going to bring the customer here and nothing else is needed. So again, I need the last name, the first name, and the state. So here I need to put Michigan or Indiana. Okay. When I put or, basically it means I want from both Michigan and Indiana. Okay, that's the reason I want to put an or. So to do an or, I'm going to type like before MI within quotes, but there is an or line here. So I'm going to go to the or line and I'm going to type Indiana, IN. And when I run it, it's going to show me both Indiana and Michigan. Sarah is from Indiana, James is from Michigan, as we know before. So I'm going to get out of this again, and I'm going to save it as answer 2, which I see here. My third question is, how many customers ordered from Colorado? So I'm going to find, instead of how many customers ordered, I'm going to find first. I'm going to find how many orders were there from California. Let's say I want to find number of orders from Colorado. So now if I go to my ER diagram, so how many customers ordered from Colorado? So for that, what do I need? I need the first name, last name, and I need the state. But I also need the quantity. Okay, so I need the customer, last name, first name, and the state because I need to criteria Colorado. And then I want to know the quantity, right? So I need this also. So I need this order details and this customer. Now the problem is the customer and the order details do not have a direct relationship. The relationship runs through orders. So actually I need customer, orders as well as order details. Okay, so let's go and do that. So now I'm going to create a query design and I'm going to bring the customer. I'm going to bring the order details and then I'm going to bring the orders. As I bring all this, I'm seeing the relationship. All of them are one-to-many. I see the relationship. Everything looks good. I see one-to-many, and exactly that is what I need. So what are the things that I'm looking for here? Again, I'm looking for the last name, the first name, the state, and then the quantity ordered. Okay. In the state, which state I'm looking for? I'm looking for orders from state of Colorado. So quote CO is for Colorado, and then I'm going to run it and I see all the quantities that are done and I have 29 orders. This is the number of orders, 29 orders from Colorado. Okay, so I'm going to get out of that and that is my answer, and that is going to be my answer for 3. So I've done 3 queries. The fourth query that I'm looking for from the question paper is, what is the total revenue from all orders? Now, total